I've already prepped a lot of stuff because I didn't want to waste your time doing everything. You saw the titles on the post, if you saw the post, the cutting guide before you jumped on. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish stamping that. So what I did was, this stamp comes with your wood grain background, but it's quite large, as you can see. So I just stamped it in rows. So you can't see where the stamp starts and ends. I know where it is because I know that one line at the end is this thicker one, but it flows really nicely. So even if you don't get it tight or perfect, it still works. And then you can just lay your thin cuts down and cut away, which is what I did. And then also it means that your tiles are all unique. So there's similarities, certainly, but not exact. So that's kind of nice. It makes it more realistic that way. And so I'm going to go ahead and stamp the rest of my title. I'm just going to grab my foam here. And I have a few extras because I want to show you maybe a couple of different options that you can do. So I'm using the Intense Black because it is a darker color, and I think I need to re-ink my regular black. So I did do some with the regular black. So you can see it's just not quite as solid of a letter, right? So it's not very different. It's fairly close. But then I just thought I'm going to switch to my Intense Black because it's a little bit juicier. So I think I might need to re-ink my black ink pad. So basically what I did is I'm just, sorry, I need a scrap. I'm just lining up my, my letter as best I can so that it's centered, right? So you do want the number fairly close to the corner. I actually pulled out my Scrabble game to have a look before I started, just to help with my color matching. So I should mention that color-wise, this is almond paper. So this is the dark side, and I stamped on the light side, and I stamped with almond ink. So that was the truest to actual Scrabble tiles, and so that's why I chose that. Obviously you can use other colors, whatever you have, whatever you would like. I know a lot of people use the toffee, whether it was on this or it was toffee on toffee, I'm not sure, but there's a lot. I looked at a bunch of consultant samples to see what they had done as well. So you can just kind of play around with it. So I'm just gonna try and quickly stamp the rest of my title here. So this is explore. It's the only word that I haven't stamped yet. So I wasn't sure what would work best, if it would be best to stamp the letters on the cardstock before I cut it or stamp it after. But what I found was with this one, it's easier to cut it out first and then stamp your letter. Because it's hard, because you want to get as many on as you can. So you want to put your thin cuts. So also the thin cuts, they actually give you 3 of them, right? So you're not having to cut one letter at a time. You can at least cut 3 at a time. So you want them to be nice and tight on there and get the most out of your paper. So I just found it was easier than trying to line up the thin cut. I did, like I said, I did try it, but it was a little bit harder. So I found this way is much faster and just easier to do it. So it looks like there might be somebody out there, but I can't see any comments. So if you are popping on, don't forget to just say hi. So I'm also going to show you the stamp comes with this little frame. So I'm going to try that because I, again, like I said, I looked at my actual Scrabble game and it doesn't have a line around the tiles. It just has them like this. So one more. Oops, where'd that go? And then we'll play around. So also, when I was playing around and laying these out on my layout to just test things, I decided to ink the edges. Ooh, that one's a little bit crooked. Maybe we'll use that as a extra. That's better. And we'll do one more. I'm going to do it this side just to play. Okay. So now what I can do, I'll get rid of the E, and I just want to show you because it comes with this little square as well. So I don't know, I guess that the idea would be to stamp it in black too, maybe. I feel like it's going to hit the number there. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to lean over here so I can line it up. Oh no, it doesn't hit the number. Oops. Ooh, it's right on the edge. So I guess this, if you were doing this, you would need to stamp it first and then cut it out. So you would need to stamp it. So yeah, I didn't play with this one at all. Like I said, I found that didn't think it was required. So there, and then you would run it through your machine. Let me just wipe that off. Stamp chamois is very handy. It's very hard to line up there, so I don't know. But I guess it edges it. Maybe you would fussy cut it, make it bigger. But anyway. Oh, I guess you could stamp a title, like you could stamp just on your background and then not cut it out at all. And that would give you your edge. So that might be part of what that is for. Okay, so, oh, hi Dana. Oh, cool, Dana, you have some Scrabble paper. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. And you can do, obviously, any color that you want. Hopefully I didn't miss a letter. P-L-O-R-E. I think I'm good. Okay, so that one can go away. So this also, the wood grain stamp, I actually thought about using it for a bit of background on my layout, and then I decided I'm going to do something else. But it does make a nice little background for not just these, but for a layout or a card or whatever. Oh, here it is. Okay, just put that out of the way. And then like I said, I inked the edges of these. So I used toffee because I wanted it to be a little bit darker. The almond is the color of the wood grain, so I wanted it a little bit darker than that. So I'm not using a sponge dauber here, you can see that. I do that often, but this is faster. And it gives you a different look, right? So it's a little bit deeper color sometimes, but it's also a crisper coloring, right? So rather than the sponge gives you more of a blended look, whereas this is a little bit crisper of a line, which is more what I'm looking for. So I don't want it to be very thick. I just want that little edge to kind of stand out. And then, of course, depending on how I'm doing this, I can make it thicker with using my ink pad direct too. But for this look, I don't want that. Okay, so they're all inked up. So I'll put that out of the way. And then, I don't know if you know, so this is one of our foam circle pieces. So this comes with the shaker set, right? So when you buy the shaker foams, you get the circle. So you can see I've already used the circle. I made a shaker before. And then I have these pieces inside, and they're actually perfect for this. Hi Liz, glad you could join in. So I'm just gonna flip all these over and I'm gonna put my foam on here. I'm gonna just use the big ones because these little ones, they're funny shapes, but they're actually really good sometimes when you have a die cut and like letters, and so you've got a little piece. So those are great to tuck into a little corner. Okay, so that's the prep work. Put that over there. Now I'm gonna pull out my paper. So for this layout, I'm gonna use some of our wood grain paper. So I think I've shown these before. They are in our annual catalog, and they are beautiful. So there's lots of choice in the colors of them. So I'm just going to kind of give you a quick look. That's a darker one. Here. This is a lot of fun. So this one, I was actually a couple of times I was going to use this, and then I didn't. I think, you know, sometimes you just want to save it because you might use that for something. This one is really pretty. So I actually used this in a frame with a wreath in it that I did, and it actually is really pretty. And that one's pretty cool too. And that's the darker ones again. So the wood grain papers are fantastic to have in your stash. So I ended up deciding on this, the cut log one, which is not one of my favorites, but for this, I think it's really going to work. And then the next thing I need to do to prep. So I want to mat all my photos. So you don't have to mat your photos, but I think for this layout, it's really going to add, because it is a very basic, simple layout. It only has really the one piece of pattern paper, right? And so I thought I had done a cutting diagram for it, but I can get them all out of one sheet of cardstock. But apparently I didn't save that. So sorry. So let me just set this aside. It wasn't very complicated. Whoops. Scrabble tiles flying everywhere. Okay, so I have 4x6 photos, so that means I need 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So I'm going to do my 4 1/4 first. So that takes me to 7 3/4, and that gives me 4 1/4 over here. Then I'm going to cut that at 6 1/4. That's the one that's off of right in the middle here somewhere. So 6 1/4 from 12 is 5 3/4. So there's that one. So I'm cutting the two big ones first. I know I did a cutting guide. I'm just gonna pull up my Cricut real quick and see if it's there. Because I know that I did it. Sorry about that. Let me, come on, work. There it is. And looks like I cut it the wrong way. So I was supposed to cut it the other way. So hopefully you're not following along. So here is what I was supposed to do. Guess I should have pulled that up first. Now my Cricut's not gonna work. So what I should have done was cut the 6 1/4 first. Which I can't get now because I'm here. Here, sorry. Let's just start over. Okay, so here is how you can get all those mats out of this. Okay, so we're gonna cut our 6 1/4 first, which means 5 3/4 will give me that. Now I'm gonna take them and do 4 1/4. So 7 3/4 and then 4 1/4. Okay, so that gives me my 2 4x6 mats. Now my Cricut isn't working, so hopefully my video is not freezing up. And that leaves me with 3 1/2. No, it's not gonna be enough, but that, so then I can do another, I could do a 3 1/4 mat because my other photos are 3 by 3. So I can do a 3 1/4 out of that. So that's 1. My, talk about technical difficulties. My Cricut will not load. Yeah, I've not done this right again. Oh well. I'll have to post this for you. If you're going to do this out of one sheet of paper, I will post it for you. Sorry, I just want to see if I can still get what I need out of this. So I'm going to cut at 4 1/4 because I have one 4 by 3. Whoops. 3 1/4. I think I'm just going to be shy of 1 here now. Okay, so this is what happens when you forget to review this before you start your live. Okay, so here's a scrap that I bought. So I'm just going to cut my 3 1/4. So honestly, you can get all of the mats out of one sheet of cardstock. And when I can get my Cricut Design Space to work, I can post that for you and show you. Okay, so that's all my cutting because I already cut my other pieces. So the reason that I want this first is because I need to lay out my photos so that I can get my titles to work. Let's just get rid of that. So I can mat all of these. I'm not sure that I want to ink the edges of these, but I can do it after. Okay, so I'm just going to attach all my photos. Are we still hanging in there, folks? This is definitely a better watch after one. So these would probably be nice photos to actually sand the edges. So I know if you've watched many of my videos before, that's something that I do quite often. So just to add a little bit of extra pop, I take my sanding block and I just sand the edge of my photos, and then it reveals the white edge around them, and it just gives a little, like I said, just a little pop to your photos. There. Now I have to remember and do the right one because I'm going to add a flip flap. You don't have to add a flip flap, but I had too many photos, so I needed to get them to fit. I might have to trim that a bit. It looks a bit off. So I want my bottom photo on. Made that mistake before when I'm doing flip-flops. You don't want to put your top photo on your photo mat because then it will be on the bottom. Sometimes I find when pictures are printed, they're not actually printed the full 6 inches. And I just started using Black's photography for my printing since Costco shut down their in-store ones. And their quality I don't think is near as good as it used to be. So I figured if I gotta pay for photos to be shipped, I'm gonna try somewhere else. So the quality of these ones from Black's is quite good. Okay. So I also inked my base pages. So this is the French vanilla color, which I can never remember the name of, because I didn't think that white was gonna be the best. Sometimes white is just a little bit too stark, right? So, okay, and then I also inked my edges, my paper, and I'm just looking. You wanna make sure with something like this that you get your shadows right. Yeah, so it goes this way. So I'm gonna attach this. Always seems like such a waste to when you've got such pretty patterns on double-sided paper, right? You're like, oh no. But there's more of it. Okay. So put that one down. So, sorry, I didn't mention, these are 4 by 12 pieces. Sure, yep, 4 inches, which that was in the cutting guide that I posted in the challenge post there. Okay, so I am going to add ribbon onto here as well, but I'm not going to do that just yet. Yeah, I will. It'll be okay. I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to get my soup ring, my square tape again, and I think that this ribbon is quite thin. I'm going to use the thinner one just to be sure. So this is some burlap ribbon that we used to carry. I have quite a bit of it. It was on clearance for a while, and I really like it. I use it a lot. So it came in a bunch of different colors. But because I have boys and we do camping and outdoor stuff, it just really suits what I'm doing a lot in my layouts. Okay. I don't have very nice nails, but I hate it when I don't have at least one that's long enough to peel the backing off. Okay, so I'm just going to attach that on there. So these kind of natural products are not always the most consistent. That one actually looks really pretty good. And then this side. There, when you're doing something like this, remember not to pull on your ribbon, because if you put that stress on it, it will end up like not wanting to stay there. Okay, just quickly flip these over and secure the ends. So when I'm doing this, I like to just put a little piece of the tape on the back but I also cover it with a bit of Scotch tape. So the reason that I do this is, one, to give it a little bit of extra hold, but mainly because when you're putting it in your scrapbook sleeve, the ribbon will catch as you're putting it in there, and by doing this with the tape, it's not going to catch and pull off. So I don't know, I learned that a long time ago. So whenever you put anything on the back, like if you put a brad on your layout and it pokes through the back, you just put a little bit of tape over it, and then that just makes it easier to slide into your scrapbook. It's always hard to find the end of this one. Very thin. Is it like this? Okay. Hopefully the video won't be freezing on me again today. Kept having issues yesterday, and nobody was here using the internet, so it's not like it was capacity. Today they're here, and the boys are upstairs. I'm sure both on their computers. Okay. So there's my face. So this is what the layout is going to look like. And this one, so like that. Okay, so now is the finicky part. So this part is going to be a little bit finicky because I need to get my title on here, and it needs to, you know, go through the pictures here. So that's not part of that. And I just realized my QR code fit right into that thin cut nicely, so I ended up cutting that out. So I'm not sure yet where I'm going to put that. So I'm going to go like this. So every year we go to the museum. So they have two events. They have a spring event and they have a fall event. So it's called the Last Blast in the fall. And they pull out all of their heavy equipment and stuff. So there's one of their machines that runs on coal, steam, I don't know, something. Anyway, the boys get a real kick out of it because there's lots more than that. So it's a lot of fun to go out there, and it's called the Last Blast. So I thought that was fitting to put right on here. It works so nicely with the words. Okay, so on top of this, I actually pulled out another stamp set because I feel like it's a little bit plain. So I'm going to try this and see how it works. So this is a retired one as well. This is Nights of Lights. So what I thought was I would stamp, oh my, I would stamp this underneath a couple of my letters. So this is where I need to really line things up to get it to work. So I think the best way to do this is to probably attach, well, no, it's going to be tough because their photos are going to be in the way if I attach them. I'm going to attach this one because I can always pop them up a little bit if I need to, if I want to do a stamp under there. Because if I'm going to do this stamping right on my page, I want it to be lined up really nicely. Okay. I need to be about there. So I think I'm going to use my other 1, too. I'm going to use my other ruler because I got a little bit of a bump there from that ribbon, and I want to make sure that I'm straight. So this ruler is 2 inches. So I do that. Get lined up with the edge. Okay. So not going to push too hard on that. Now I have to make sure that's going to work because it might be too far down there. My title and things have to line up this way too, preferably. Yeah, so I only have 2 letters. So that actually, yeah, that'll work out. So I can put this one on as well. Not yet, because it's going to go over there. Okay, so my letters are going to go here. So that goes down here. So let's try adding one of these photos. So I'm going to put this at, I think that'll work, 1 1/4. And I only want it to be, that one's going to go there. So I'm going to actually go 3/8. Okay, so I'm going to commit and stamp this. Just make sure that I'm going to put it in the right spot. I guess if it's a little bit off, it's not a huge deal. So I want it there. So let's get those out of the way. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take my pencil. I'm going to go like that. So that's going to show me where I need to put that. And I was debating on what color I wanted to use for this, because I don't want it to be like really in your face. So how to decide what color to use. So I think I'm going to use my black. I don't want to use the intense black. I'm just going to use the black, the regular black. I just want to condition my stamp here. And I have to be careful. There's a little bit of ink on there. So when I push this down, I need to make sure I don't put that down. And I had some there. Okay, so that pencil will be covered up. So there, see? That looks pretty cool. Okay, I'm liking that. That goes there, and then I think I'm going to put one over here as well. So let me just touch a few of these letters. I guess I should put the B on there first. It's not attached, is it? Not the easiest thing to line up, but this ruler has a edge on it. It's not straight. This one will give me for sure straight. Okay, let's stick this one down so it doesn't keep moving. So probably what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of quickly try and finish this side, and then I'll work on the other side on my own while you guys go ahead and work on the challenges. Okay. So now I need to maybe shift that a bit. One thing about these foam squares is they are super sticky. Super sticky. So this is definitely a finicky layout, but I think it's going to be worth it. I think it's going to look really good. I don't want to stick that one down because I'm gonna put another stamp on here under the T. So this one I'm going to eyeball. Oh, it's probably going to be in the way. Shoot. So where are we? Here we are. Now this time my stamp has ink on it because I didn't clean it, so I gotta be more careful. So I'm looking for right there. There, my middle point. And I'm going to stamp that, and I'm not going to put the foam under it only because I don't want this ink on everything. There. Now I'm going to get water on my page. Okay. So right there. There we go. And not a really big deal if your letters are crooked because Scrabble tiles don't necessarily sit straight, right? Okay, so I am going to post that cutting guide for the mats. And I'm going to work away on my other side here, and then I'll post this layout when it's finished, and you guys can work on your challenges. Oh, hey, Christine. I'm just about done, but thanks for popping on. You can rewatch it. Okay, so there's my start. I have shown you how to do these flip flaps before, but if you do want to see it again, let me know and I can come on and just kind of quickly show you that. Basically, all I'm going to do is tuck my adhesive strip underneath that mat and attach it down. So then the rest of my title goes here